All right, so you guys were asking me about Bitcoin. Is it a buy now? What's going on? I'm going to talk about that, but I'm also going to talk about discretionary trading versus algo trading. So as much as I love algo trading, and that's the main purpose of this channel, automated computer trading systems save your time. The more time I spent building systems, I learned that they have to have certain limitations. What they're really good at is trading a data set perfectly. What they're not good at is trading narrative, timelines, and news. So, and they will probably never be really good at trading narrative, timelines, and news, or at least I don't really see that being where things are going. They might. It's just not what I see right now. What I see right now is AI is a great tool with encyclopedic knowledge, but it's not very creative because it's based on prior human knowledge, and it's not good at, and automation is not good at interpreting surprise news events. So I'm going to talk about some of these things before we get to where we are now. So let's start with, I want a text price. Okay, a comment right here. Let's do this. So let's go back to this day. Let's go back to this day. Let's do it like this. No, let's do it like this. Do I want to comment? I'll just do a signpost right here. Or, actually, let's just do a circle. So anybody know what this day was? This is a day that Bitcoin broke all-time high and everything closed at all-time high. It's Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. What happened Wednesday, November 6th, 2024? Let's see. Anybody know? Donald Trump won the election on this day. Okay? So Donald Trump wins election. Can an algo take that into account? No. So what I'm going to say here is for 95% of trades, 99% of trades, I'm happy to let the algos trade it. But for certain occasional trades that are based on narrative and news, unicorn in nature, I am willing to trade discretionary. So now let's look up here. Does anybody know what happened on this day? So the all-time high breakout was the day Donald Trump wins election on November 6th. What happened? Does anybody know what happened on Monday, January 2025? I'm going to ask you. 2025. Does anyone know what happened? Um, January, Monday, January 20. Okay, inauguration. So, is it a coincidence that the market topped, that the market broke to all-time highs the day Donald Trump won the election, and it topped the day he came into office? That is called a narrative timeline. So certain news events have a timeline. It's also buy the rumor, sell the news, but buy the anticipation, sell the event. So to me, that is not a coincidence. And these are the type of trades that I'm looking for that have a narrative. So you guys also know that on this day, I made uh, a call and a warning about Bybit hack for 1 billion ETH. And I told you guys it's going to lead to forced liquidations. What happened? Are you guys paying attention? Now, there's another one. I'm gonna go over some more before we get into where we are and certain principles. So Trump, check this out. Trump executive order, crypto bill, or like crypto, strategic crypto reserve or something like that. Crypto order, January 24 on Thursday. So when was Thursday? It was on this day, actually. So news will tell us something. Here we have Thursday the 23. If a crypto bill is signed, that's bullish, but price actually didn't move. So that tells you the market is weak, and when you have bad news, it's going to really go down. We also had Trump Sovereign Wealth Fund. I can't spell, it's going to get corrected. Okay, executive order. February 3 was the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Was that it? On this day? Okay, well, that was bullish, but it couldn't take prices any higher. So what do we have now? I'm gonna come back to it, but this is part two of the Bybit trade, forced liquidations. Okay. I want to look a couple more though. Um, Here we had Japanese yen event. You don't need to understand what that is exactly. When was Donald Trump shot? July 13th? When was July 13th? There was a trade off of this. Trump was shot on this day. That was tradable. Now we also have when was BTC ETF announced? Well, it was like January 11th is when it was approved. This is a similar thing. On this day, the ETF was approved. So here we're talking about timeline narrative again. ETF starts trading. Okay, approved. Um, Announced. So that's when it started. Um, when was, well, I don't know exactly, but it was in this area. This is when there was fake BTC ETF news. So basically, BTC ETF. Here we have a similar thing, isn't it interesting that the day there's a rumor of it, starts a massive rally, and the rally does continue, but this pullback happens. The market tops when the ETF starts trading. Now, there's a couple other things. I'm not going to go into all of them, but right in here was FTX failure. Now there's FTX part two, which is, what is FTX part two? It's the reversal. Now we could go into, when was Luna? Luna failed in somewhere in here. I forget the date. We don't need to go back forever. When did Luna fail? May 2022. So Luna was in this area. There's some more things I can point to. I remember this day, for instance. This day, Tesla announced it bought BTC. on this day. Um, I believe this day was super high inflation reading. So, I mean, based on what I'm showing you, I do believe that to a degree it's news that drives the market. And if you're able to trade discretionarily based on that, it's possible to profit in a big way. So this brings us to, so first of all, let me say here, like narrative is super important. Narrative, which is timeline, story, news, timeline. And part of that is high time frame fundamentals, which to me is leverage is the best high time frame fundamental. Okay, and then you have the chart. So let's go to a different chart where there's nothing on it. Let's put some levels on. So I was telling you guys, Bybit is going to have two parts. Part one is optional selling, panic selling, forced selling. Part two is a good buying opportunity. Has that played out yet? I don't think so. Now, price almost came and retested the breakout. Um, price is already reversing, or has already been reversing. I'm not in a trade. I'm thinking about it, but I will say that still, if we're to look at certain things in the economy, I don't know that we should go swiftly to all-time highs, but a higher than expected rally. I mean, the way FTX was as well is how did it how did it reverse? It didn't reverse all at once. It chopped a little bit, then it had a push up, and then it reversed. So it's possible there's something like that. We had that pattern play out here, where there was a breakdown, chop, failed breakout, take the low, and then exit. And then we also had, yeah, for the FTX, bled down, took the low, failed breakout, pulled back, and then we went. So it could be something like that. I'm going to focus on the Bitcoin situation, but let's take a look. Um, okay. Funding has gone negative. Okay. That's usually the sign of a bottom. Okay. So let's look. Funding has gone negative. When's the last time funding went negative? On this day? But before then, like in here, and it didn't go straight up, but in August. So to me, we're closer to a bottom. We can also look here. Open interest was at 36 billion and it flushed all the way down to 25 billion. That's significant, right? That's like a third or more. Now let's look at the funding rate on CoinGlass. Funding has gone negative. Okay. Volume weighted, it's gone negative. What does that mean? There's more people shorting than longing. Okay. So the question is going to be how would be how to get in. So this trade to me, it's not a signal trade on the chart yet. However, it has a narrative, and the level 2 is lining up as well. I was looking at being a buyer yesterday around 85. It's up about since then. So the question is, should we get a pullback? There's a couple questions. So we know, I want to look at some other charts, but we know that this is would be a strong buy. So having the stop loss below here would make the trade feel pretty safe. However, the question is if having an entry in here would be a good idea. Now, something else I want to point out is if you look at ETH, what did ETH do? ETH USDT.P is beautiful. It swept the wick low perfectly. This is something that happened on the FTX low, actually. Where was it? Maybe not on this one, yeah, but just like touched the bottom just here. So it looks good on ETH too. Now, as far as ETH BTC, it doesn't really make sense to trade ETH. It's just like being very stubborn, I think. You want to trade the strongest one. So what's the one that's down the least? Let's go to crypto screener. I already know what's down the least. One of them is Bitcoin. Okay, so here's what I want to look at. I want to look at volume, or I want to look at market cap, 10 billion and up, and I want to look at the change over the last month. Okay. I also want the volume to be what's the most? So BNB, XRP, Bitcoin. These would be the only options. I don't have BNB up. Let's look at BNB. BNB has been very strong, actually. XRP. I wouldn't want to trade XRP though. Say just Bitcoin. So to me, this trade qualifies. It's but it doesn't mean just jam. So first of all, I wouldn't consider this a trend following trade. The difference between FTX and Bybit is that we were at a market top. So it could happen, but I'm not really expecting price to go right back to all-time highs. Um, let's go to ChatGPT. New project. BTC March. Okay. Tell me about March seasonality for the markets, and particularly BTC. So we want a puzzle to put it all together. It's generally positive, 60% of the time. Okay, February was weak, I might struggle. Gold, leaning bearish. Okay, past 5 years. Okay. Question is, so we also want to think about date, time, and execution. Okay. So I don't know the entry, but I know we want our stop loss. I'm recording this on a Saturday. Okay. So I know the stop loss needs to be within past this. It's a strong support, and but we can be within, right? So I want to put the 50% of the wick because I know that people look at that as a target and a place to buy. That would be in here. I also want to look at the 50% of this big fair value gap, which is here at 82,000. So we know where our stop should be, somewhere around here, just above, just within this wick, like around 79 should be our stop. Okay? Now for target, I'm not looking for a full reversal, right? We got to remember this was FTX sell-off. If we want to be safe, our target is within that, not beyond it. So we can maybe look at a golden pocket retracement, which is good for shorts. So if we're looking, we would be looking for price to TP around maybe 93, 94, something like that. Not that it couldn't go higher, but if we wanted to be really safe, that would make sense. So the current scenario is, and the reason why is just because of where we are in the cycle, it doesn't necessarily make sense for price to, yeah, I mean, entering now, it just doesn't look like a great risk reward, right? The FTX sell-off, where I traded it, it was like a lot better. So to me, for the risk reward to be worth it, we do need to be entering in here. We also need to debate, is there any way we could recover entirely from that? Yeah, but it's not any way. It's like what's really likely, right? I mean, we are seeing some sharp a possible buys in the other markets, but there's been a lot of struggle. So I don't know if it's the smartest thing to do, but targeting all the way back at 102 might not be that unreasonable. which would make it a lot more reasonable. So the thing is, it is a weekend, which means we're likely to have muted volatility. It's creating more gaps. It's not really pulling back. So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's been one of the best ones. Volume, Hedera, Stellar, Cardano. I don't want to go by a month though. That's just all I can say. It's like I'm concerned. I want to know like what's done the best from the highs. It wouldn't be that unreasonable for price to reverse the FTX sell-off. Putting price at the bottom of the gap would be not unreasonable also. Okay. Okay, so here's my thinking for entry. It's a Saturday. My charger's not working right. Okay, it's charging. It's a Saturday. What does that mean? It's possible, but it's unlikely for a really strong price move. Saturday and Sunday. Funding is negative, yes. Also, for me personally, I don't just want a high probability trade, I want a high probability execution. I have a hard time holding through retracements. So while buying now would increase the probability of the trade working, it would also hurt the probability of executing it well. Because I want to be able to get in on retracement. So I'm looking though and seeing, I know price would be a buy in this gap, but will we get there? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it could happen on Monday morning, but also if price is reversing, Bitcoin's showing relative strength and is given a shallow pullback. So we have this gap that was created. ETH pulled back into its gap. Solana pulled back a little bit and hasn't made a new high. If we look at like total 3 hasn't, but others did a little bit. Its price doesn't necessarily have to fill in this gap. It might, but especially on the strongest asset, it doesn't necessarily have to. So if we go back and we look at some of these dips, right, this gap never got filled in from the last low, September, back here, okay? Let's look at some other ones. That one did. Let's look at Here's another one. This gap never got filled in, right? Same down here. This gap never got filled in. This gap got partially filled. This gap never got filled. The low from the FTX, right? It poked into it, but it didn't fill it. So I think if we're thinking this is going to be a violent reversal, which it may or may not be, a limit order in the gap isn't as likely to fill. That said, I don't love chasing. And it's a Saturday, Sunday, which means it's more likely to have a little bit of chop or slower movement. So if I go to a lower time frame, buying in this demand zone seems reasonable. There is this little 1 hour gap that's formed. I I really don't like buying low time frame breakouts. I can't manage it. So if we look here, if were to try to buy in the gap, it should be just a poke of the gap at the most in terms of limiting. I think targeting a full-on reversal and even higher isn't unreasonable. Crazy things happen. Crazy things do happen. And that would give a chance of making the risk reward worth it. By the way, look how time intensive this is compared to automated trading. So 83, 150 would be, I wouldn't want to go any further than that because I know there's a lot of demand and it's not 100% price even gets down here, but I kind of like it. The bottom of this candle. Stop at 80. Entry at 83, 136. Okay. I like it. So I'm going to do this. 83, 136. Okay. And the stop, I'm going to put it just under 80. I'm going to put it at like 79, 500. And then I am going to put a TP. Wouldn't it be crazy to regain the FTX sell-off? It would. I think 100K is a good target. And we're done. So again, it's a narrative trade. We're taking into account seasonality. We're taking into account the day of the week. liquidations, everything aligns, and also personal psychology. I could have entered already, but I would rather not be underwater. So, yeah, I hope you guys find it useful. Will I execute it well? We'll see. I'm not married to that TP. It wouldn't be unreasonable for price to simply come up into here also, especially for the first push up. Yeah, I think I like that more. It's going to be also not as long a hold. So I think I'm not going to target like a full reversal. And we'll do it like this. All right. Happy trading, y'all. Much love. Peace.